You see it all the time, and you never think it could kill you. You don't slow down for it. You don't even think about it, because it doesn't feel dangerous. It's the kind of animal that shows up on Christmas cards, on the wallpaper in pediatrician waiting rooms, on the side of cereal boxes marketed to children, and it kills more Americans every year than almost any other animal in the country. Not because it hunts, not because it chases you, not because it has venom or claws, because of where it steps. And when you don't have time to react, picture a highway in Pennsylvania on a November evening. 2 lanes, speed limit 55. The kind of road that's been there so long it feels like it was always there. Like it grew out of the landscape rather than being built across it. Trees on both sides, close enough to the asphalt that the headlights only reach so far before the dark just takes over. The driver is heading home. Nothing unusual. Radio on, maybe. Heat running. Tired in the specific way that comes from a long Tuesday. Not an emergency, just the ordinary weight of a regular day. And then at the very edge of the headlights, something moves. It doesn't run. It doesn't charge. It just steps. One leg, then another, moving the way it always moves. Because it has crossed this stretch of land 10,000 times before, and nothing bad has ever happened. It stops and looks straight into the light. The driver has maybe a second and a half to understand what they're looking at, and by then, it's already too late to do anything about it. The white-tailed deer, Odocoelus virginianus. It is, by almost any measure, the most successful large mammal in North America. 30 million of them, possibly more. No one has counted precisely, because you can't. They are everywhere. 48 of the 50 states. Urban parks, suburban backyards. The edges of airports, shopping center parking lots. The green strips along interstate medians. They have followed human expansion the way water follows a slope, finding every available space and quietly filling it. For most of human history on this continent, that coexistence was unremarkable. They moved. We moved. The overlap existed, but the consequences were manageable. Then came the car, and that's where this stops being a nature story and becomes something else entirely. The number is 1.5 million. That's how many deer vehicle collisions are estimated to occur in the United States every single year. 1.5 million. That's not near misses. That's not close calls where someone swerved and kept going. That's actual impacts. The dynamics of a high-speed collision can be severe, involving significant damage to the vehicle and forceful displacement of the animal upon impact. The mechanical forces involved in such incidents can be quite destructive, often surpassing the typical understanding of a simple accident. Deer vehicle encounters lead to significant safety concerns, resulting in a substantial number of reported fatalities and injuries annually across the United States. Some years more. The damage runs into billions of dollars. Impact statistics reveal serious consequences, with thousands of individuals requiring medical attention each year due to these incidents. The risks associated with these wildlife interactions are notably higher than those from other animal encounters, underscoring the need for awareness. Not slightly more, not marginally more, by a distance that makes the comparison almost absurd. But here's the part most people never think about. The part that actually explains why the number is what it is, and why it isn't going down. The deer didn't do anything wrong, and neither did the driver. That's what makes this different. That's the part that's genuinely difficult to sit with. White-tailed deer are not confused animals. They're not maladapted. They haven't made some evolutionary miscalculation that's working against them in the modern world. In almost every measurable way, they are spectacularly well-suited to the landscape they currently inhabit. Their population isn't shrinking. It's not stable. It's growing. They are thriving, and that's exactly why the numbers keep going up. The deer isn't the problem. We are. The road that cuts through what used to be uninterrupted forest, the suburban development that replaced the field corridors, deer used to move through safely. The road that sits permanently and immovably across a migration route that was established long before anyone poured asphalt. Deer don't understand roads the way we understand roads. They understand landscape. They understand where food is in October and where water is in August, and which direction their instincts pull them when the season changes. And those instincts are old, older than roads, older than cars, older than the entire concept of a speed limit. When a deer steps onto a highway in November, it's not being reckless. It's following a pull that has guided its species across this continent for thousands of years. It just happens to be following it across 60 miles per hour of traffic now. That disconnect between ancient instinct and modern speed is where people die. November is the month. If you know one thing about deer vehicle collisions, know this. The numbers spike hard in October and peak in November, then fall off sharply. The reason is not random. It's not weather. Though weather plays a role in driver behavior, it's biology. Specifically, it's the rut, the white-tailed deer's breeding season, during which bucks in particular abandon almost everything else in favor of movement. They cover ground during the rut in a way they simply don't at other times of year. They move during daylight, which they usually avoid. They cross unfamiliar terrain. They stop paying attention to the things they normally pay attention to. And that's when they start stepping into places they normally wouldn't. A buck in full rut has been observed, walking through neighborhoods, crossing 6-lane highways, appearing in places deer are almost never seen, because the biological drive overrides everything else. Hunters know this. It's why deer season and the rut overlap in most states. The deer are easier to find because they're moving constantly and thinking about almost nothing except finding a mate. The deer are also easier to hit. And here's the thing most drivers don't know. The piece that actually changes behavior if you internalize it. Where there is one, there is almost always another one coming. Deer are not solitary during the rut. They move in groups, or they move in sequence, following each other across the same terrain. When a deer crosses a road, there is a meaningful probability that another deer is somewhere behind it, 30 seconds back, a minute back, following the same line of travel. The instinct, when a deer crosses your path and you avoid it, is relief. You missed it. You're past it. The danger is over. It isn't necessarily over. The experienced drivers in high-density deer states, the ones who've been navigating rural Pennsylvania or Michigan or Wisconsin for decades, will tell you this without hesitation. When you see one, slow down and stay slowed down, not for a second, for a full minute if you can, because the one you saw was probably not the only one. Most people don't know this. Most people breathe out when the first one clears the road. That's when the second one steps into the road, and you're not ready for it. There's a deeper irony layered into all of this, and it's the kind of irony that says something uncomfortable about how well-meaning things can go sideways. The white-tailed deer population exploded across North America, in large part because of us. Not in spite of human activity, because of it. We removed their predators. Wolves were eliminated from most of their range over the course of the 19th and early 20th centuries. Mountain lions were pushed back, hunted down, reduced to isolated populations in the West. The natural check on deer populations, the thing that had kept them in balance for millennia, was systematically removed. And then we created the perfect habitat, suburban edges, where manicured lawns meet woodlots, where ornamental gardens provide food and tree cover provides shelter, where hunting is prohibited and dogs are leashed, are essentially paradise for white-tailed deer. We built it. They moved in. And now we drive through the middle of their habitat at 70 miles per hour and act surprised when they're there. The deer didn't expand into our world. We built our world inside theirs. There are people working on this. Wildlife bridges, underpasses, corridor projects that give deer a way to cross from one patch of habitat to another without setting foot on asphalt. High visibility signage in peak collision zones. Headlight reflectors along road edges, designed to catch approaching headlights and send a signal into the tree line that something large and fast is coming. Some of these work reasonably well. The underpasses, in particular, have documented success in certain areas, with deer learning to use them regularly within a few seasons. But the scale of the problem doesn't match the scale of the solutions. 30 million deer, 4 million miles of road in the United States, 1.5 million collisions a year. The infrastructure required to meaningfully reduce those numbers would be enormous, expensive, politically complicated in ways that never quite rise to the top of anyone's agenda, because it's deer, because it feels like a minor problem even when the statistics say otherwise, because the animal is too familiar, too comfortable, too embedded in the landscape of American life to read as a threat. That familiarity is the most dangerous thing about it. The light is fading now over that Pennsylvania highway. The temperature has dropped a few degrees in the last hour, the way it does in November when the sun goes. Traffic is steady, commuters heading home. The tray line on both sides is still, the way it is right before it isn't. A driver slows slightly, for no reason they could name exactly, just something, a shape at the edge of the light that resolved into nothing, maybe, or a feeling, the kind of attention that comes from experience. or from knowing the statistics, or from having been close before. The road ahead looks clear. For now, somewhere just inside that tray line, something is moving. Walking the same route it walks every evening this time of year. Moving toward the road the way it always does. Because on the other side of the road there's a stand of oaks with acorns on the ground, and it's been going there since September, and nothing has ever stopped it before. It steps to the edge of the trees and pauses, looks at the moving lights, and most of the time, it steps back. Most of the time. Not every time. And next time, you might not even realize what you're looking at until it's already too late.